Greetings, Javans. Oh, this seems to be a very nice background. I am right now in Ramana ashram and walking towards the hill. Just want to spend some more time there before I leave from here, so perhaps this is the last life that I will be doing here. Just waiting for things to connect here. Yeah, okay, I think it's connected. So I'm right now in Ramana ashram. This is the back end of the Ramana ashram, and I'm moving up towards the hill. So you can see these are all the Samadhis of the disciples of Ramana. I cannot shoot much from this side because shooting is not allowed. So I thought while exiting the ashram from here, let me go. So you can see this is the back gate of Ramana ashram. Those who have seen it in the morning, they must be able to connect it very properly from there. So this leads to the hill. So this is, you can see the timings here. So those who want to take note can take note. You can pause the video here and take note of the timings where the caves on top, Virupakshi Cave on top. See, this is Ramana ashram. The Samadhi is somewhere there. I just walked down from there, from the side. There are accommodations here, and these are the Samadhis of the disciples of Ramana. So if I come out, this is how it looks. This is the starting of the hill. This goes towards the village and town that side. And the trekking begins here. The official trekking route is this one, which actually this whole thing belongs to the Ramana ashram. You can see there, Skandashramam and Virupakshi Cave. So there is something called Skandashram there, which again belongs to Ramana ashram. என்னம்மா எப்படி இருக்கேன் என்னாச்சு வரேன் போயிட்டு வரேன். Yeah, so you can see this is how the route begin from here. Plenty of dogs here. Look at them. Put it. This goes to the slums on the hill. And this is just the beginning of the forest and the mountain. So normally I go from this side sometimes on top to just sit down there and read or contemplate or reflect upon or meditate. Then there are some routes from this side also. The routes from the side go into the reserve forest here. And this goes up. I am not going right now here. That goes to Skandashram, the ashram of Bhagwan Ramana. That is where he spent most of his years. Perhaps that is his enlightened space. He was already enlightened. But there are different claims in different manners. And Virupakshi Cave is there. Virupakshi Cave is actually linked with the great Siddha Virupakshi from Karnataka, who meditated in that cave and turned into ash. The ash is still there in that cave up. It's a very powerful place. I'm not going there. Nowadays I don't go up to the caves. I don't feel like. Spend most of the time in Ramana ashram and the places here. So these are the side places. You can see the view from here. The other mountains, the other hills around. So this is perhaps my last video here today in Tiruvannamalai, because I'll be leaving here today to Bangalore for some work, and from there going back home. You can see how the trek is. Nobody comes in these roads. Actually, there are a lot of monkeys here. So many people prefer keeping sticks or eatables. Whenever you come here, be careful of your bag. It should be closely zipped bags. Open bags, monkeys will find a way to snatch it away from you. Okay, so I don't have a stick today. That would assist me. These are some of the places that I often come and sit alone, away from the crowd. Okay, this looks like a dead end this side because every time there is grass growing. These rocks are little slippery. I have worn shoes today. Okay, from there is a route. Hold on. There we go. Look at that. That's Tiruvannamalai town. I was reading right now some few paras or texts from Bhagwan Ramana and reflecting on it today. I found it very beneficial. It's about again the Guru Tattva and the self and God. What is all this about? So he has given very beautiful definitions. Okay, this time let me think. I think I'll halt here for a while. This looks to be a good tree. Look at this. If you sit here and meditate, that's the top of the hill, which little you can see, partial. So that route goes from that side. I have come this side where this is the problem. Unfortunate. Wow. Look at this seat. So this is at a certain elevation. You can see the serenity. Ah, that's beautiful. Okay, thank you guys. I think you all are still here, some of you. Very nice. So I just want to share what... Oh, see the mountain view, man. Look at those. Look at that. There's a water body there. See that water? And here is another hill that is very nearby. These are all very divine locations, very powerful. This has nothing to do with God or religion, dear ones. This has nothing to do with faith. All these power spots that I travel to and I try to show you has nothing to do with religion. Nothing to do with a particular God or deity. It's essentially the existence. Existence is known as God. What is the nature of existence? Bhagwan Ramana was asked once. Sorry, what is the nature of awareness? Question was asked. We know about awareness. What is the nature of awareness? So Bhagwan said, the nature of awareness is existence, consciousness, bliss. Existence, consciousness, bliss is the nature of existence, which we call as God. So in other words, they asked, again I'm saying existence, it should be awareness. The nature of awareness. Again I'm saying, what is God? It is pure awareness. And when Ramana was asked, what is awareness or what is God in other terms? He said, the nature of awareness is existence, consciousness, bliss. Do you know the meaning of this? Existence is Sat, consciousness is Chit, bliss is Ananda. So he simply said, the nature of God is Sat-Chit-Ananda. The nature of awareness is Sat-Chit-Ananda. What is Sat-Chit-Ananda? We assume it to be some kind of a bliss, eternal bliss. It is. But it is just not bliss. It is the bliss, the state of that blissfulness that is happening due to a phenomena. What is a phenomena? The phenomena is when Sat and Chit come together, it results in Ananda. What is Sat? Sat is existence. Existence means the whole existence, not just Prakriti, all the existence, the galaxies, the stars, the cosmos. They might be. We are talking about cosmos. I am talking about multiple cosmos. I am talking about multi-universes, not just one universe. All put together, including all the infiniteness, the nothingness, what we call, that is known as existence. So here he is referring existence to Sat. Sat means that existence, which is also known as truth. What is the truth? The truth is that everything is this existence known as God consciousness, supreme consciousness, existence, Sat. What is Chit? This existence is a being, if you see. This whole existence, this nothingness is a being. Just like you are a human being. There is an existence. You are existing, right? You are existing. I'm not talking about the body. If you take out the body also, you are existing. You are Sat. That existence. That being, what we know as human being. Only the being. That being is existence. See, being means what? Be in the present tense. Being. I am being myself, we say. That beingness, that existence is called as Sat. So, the whole cosmos, which we actually call as the Sat Purusha, Prathama Purusha. If you see Sankhya philosophy, it talks about Purusha and Prakriti. All other schools teach about masculine, feminine, Shiva, Shakti. Samkhya philosophy, if you see, it talks about of sage Kapila Mahmuni. It talks about Purusha and Prakriti, where Purusha is identified as the Shiva Tattva, not the Shiva with a form, without the form, the Nirguna Nirakara Shiva. That is treated as the Purusha, because that is a being. Like I just said, you are a being. Without your body and all, if you see, you still exist, that being. That is known as Sat Purusha, the Purusha. So that is Sat. And what is Chit? See, I want to go very deep in this. If you are in awareness, you will catch this. It's very important to know this. Because in your spiritual journey, this is very important to become aware of this Sat, who is Chit. In your own self, when you are contemplating on yourself, you should know who is the Sat, who is the Chit. You should be aware. You should not know, you should be aware of it. That will, you will have a superb meditation. Because you will be directly meditating straight on the God Tattva. You call it Shiva Tattva, you call it Allah Tattva, you call it God Tattva. The Sat. You will be directly working on that. If you understand this. So stay with me in awareness. The Sat, the Purusha, the Shiva consciousness, without any form, nothing. There is an existence. It is existing. It is just there. This is what we call as the witnesser. No engagement, no talks, no communication, no opinions, no thoughts, no any kind of vrittis. Pure, just absolute self, just in the witness. That is Sat. Okay. Now Chit. Chit is the consciousness. Consciousness means the fuel to the being. The energy to that being. The being cannot become aware. See this. That being, that Sat Purusha, or the self, or the God, cannot become aware without this consciousness. It needs consciousness to become aware of itself. So the existence is there, the being is there, but it is not conscious of the things around it. It is not even conscious of itself. See that. Sat. It is not, it is existing, the being is there, the being, there is a kind, a tattva, the being is there. But there is no consciousness of what is around it, what is this being itself. Not a person, but that being, it is not aware. Why it is not aware? Because there is no consciousness. To become aware of it, you need consciousness. So that Chit is that consciousness. So Sat, when united with Chit, then it becomes lively. Lively in the sense, then it becomes aware of everything. Then it becomes a witnesser. You take away Chit, it cannot even witness. It exists, but it cannot become even witness of its own self. So when Chit is there, that Sat is able to now witness. That is the Shiva Tattva. See, the Shiva becomes Jagrit, that conscious being, only when the Chit is there. That Chit is known as the Shakti. What you call as Shiva and Shakti is nothing but this. That is why the Chit and Sat cannot be separate. That is the eternal quality. It will always exist together. It cannot be separated. If it is separated, this is how it is. It's dead and it's not even... So this is the quality, this is the nature of that God Tattva. Sat and Chit both merge together, then that Shiva becomes aware of things around it. Then if the Shiva, even if there is some thought, like in the beginning they say in the cosmos, there was a thought in the nothingness and everything just created. What created? The Chit created. Chit is Shakti. The Shakti creates. The Shakti is the energy or the force that can create. Shiva doesn't create. Shiva is just a mere witnesser. Same, if you are the God Tattva, you see, you become the self. You are the Sat. You are the self without the body and all that. You are existing, but you are conscious of your surrounding because you have Chit with you. That is Shiva and Shakti, masculine and feminine, yin and yang, Purusha and Prakriti. So in Sankhya philosophy, Purusha is this existence, Sat. And Prakriti is that Chit. Prakriti creates. So, Shiva is aware of everything. Shiva is everywhere. What does it mean? That omnipresent, because that being is in everywhere. But that being is only becoming aware because there is consciousness. That consciousness is what created everything here, including you and me. I mean the physicalities and all the subtleties and all that beautiful. But you are that self, a piece of that Shiva. That Sat only, you are a piece of it. So when you remove a piece of it, the Sat only cannot come. It comes with the Chit because both are merged together, inseparable. So when you are out of that, you become a different spark out of that Shiva consciousness. You already are the Sat-Chit. Having a different experience now. Now you begin covering that layer. When the Sat and Chit are together in the original form, the result is bliss, Ananda. When Sat and Chit remains purely, the existence becomes aware of itself and the surroundings. That is when Sat-Chit, Ananda happens. Only when this is together, pure form, then that Ananda happens. That is the Ananda that everybody in the philosophies refer about. All the gurus talk about. Sat-Chit-Ananda, go into that bliss. How? Only when Sat and Chit is pure, only that Ananda can be realized. That is Sat-Chit-Ananda, that is the permanent eternal bliss. Now what happens when the spark separates from there? You are only Sat and Chit. You are also the Ananda, but what happens? The layer of ignorance starts beginning. The ego starts forming. The I-ness comes. Separate identity. Then as layers are formed, the Sat and Chit begin experiencing these impurities also. So that dissolves in that and the Ananda gets separated. The bliss gets missing because now it has been replaced with all these grossness. More the grossness, the more away you are far from that Ananda. Because you cannot see that Sat and Chit together purely. You and me and everybody who's on the journey towards spiritual journey is trying to actually become that pure Sat Chit so that we can establish into that Ananda, Sat-Chit-Ananda state, which is in a permanent state. Yes, Tanu, it's a very, very deep meaning. So I am trying to explain it by repeatedly talking about it. I have done this in my life before. And I came here actually with some notes on the Guru, but I don't know, I began speaking about Sat-Chit. I don't know why. So I believe that's how it is. That's how it should be. This is the place of that Sat, that Shiva consciousness. Where he was in this pillar of light, where I'm sitting right now, he was in the form. He, I cannot say, that being, that existence, that Sat Purusha was in the form of light in the Satyuga. As yugas passed, the grossness increased. The same light converted into emeralds. Emeralds are of very high frequency. Then from the Dwapar Yuga, when it entered into the Treta Yuga, the same again, it condensed more into grossness. The same emerald turned into gold. Gold is still again very high consciousness. Dwapar Yuga. and then as it entered into Kali Yuga, it turned into rocks and stones and mud. That is what you see around here. Kali Yuga. See, it changes, the properties changes of the tattva changes. So it is the same pillar of light today which is converted into this because of the grossness of the yugas. The more the egoic grossness, the more rigid and more gross it becomes. You can see the stones and mud, but it still has that because it's still the Siva Tattva. I mentioned in the morning video. What is the difference between Kailasha and Tiruvannamalai, this Arunachala hill? Kailasha is the abode of Shiva, where Shiva resides. It is said to that Shiva is residing. Shiva is not that physical being I am talking about. The same Sat, in one step down, grosser form, that you can say the house of Shiva, the Kailasha. That is the house. But this Arunachala hill is known to be Shiva himself. That's the difference. So the whole journey is, because the past 2 days the Sat-Chit thing was happening and I was able to meditate more. I would suggest, if you have understood this concept, sit, and whenever you are meditating, reflect on yourself as the Sat Purusha. And the consciousness that you feel around, which I talk so much about, awareness, become aware, that is the Chitta. Become aware of the Chitta first. The space around you, your aura and all that, you'll start vibrating. Because your awareness is on the Chitta. Now, move from Chitta to the Sat. To the Self. Who is this that is experiencing all this aura and Chitta? Who is the one who is experiencing the Chitta? That's the pure soul. That is you. What Ramana says, who am I? This is that you. So when you go into that awareness of who is now witnessing this everything, who is this experiencing this awareness, you will see suddenly it is the me, the Sat Purusha. And if you reach till there, you will go blank into that state. Immediately, you will enter into that state. If you can sustain that for a long time, on that self, you will realize that self. That is what Bhagwan Ramana said. There is nothing to be gained from outside for self-realization. You are already the Sat that is realized. Experiencing yourself through the Chitta. But your layers of ignorance has prevented you from experiencing this. But once you understand, these are my layers and this is what I need to shed off, you will return to that state of self-realization. So a self-realized being is already, all he says are self-realized. Only thing that they need to work on is what is preventing them from that self-realization. You become aware of that thing which is becoming an obstacle to you experiencing that Ananda. Are you getting that? And that happens. You will begin experiencing yourself. You will realize, oh, this is me, that self. This is that self that is experiencing it. And when you realize and expand that and stay in that for a longer period until you get a complete, blissful, first-hand experience of it, which is known as realizing, I have realized myself. That is the state of self-realization. It happens to multiple people in multiple ways. So there is no one particular experience. You cannot say this is the experience of self-realization. Everybody experiences in different ways. It is all about realizing this self. What I am talking right now is a little bit of jnana, but if you hear it in awareness, I am telling you, you will get it right now. What is that experience I am talking about? So people who have been practicing this awareness, it will be easy. It's not difficult. But even if you can't awaken that awareness and become aware, not a problem. This wisdom also is enough. If you contemplate on this wisdom again and again, simple concept. If you just contemplate on this and keep walking towards this, probably it will just awaken. Binduji, Namaskaram. I've seen a video of Monji in which Avadhuta Nadananda was smoking. You too had mentioned of Siddhappa, Avadhuta taking puffs. When they can discard everything including the body and mind, why do they need to smoke? Very difficult to understand. Will people not to take in a wrong sense? No, nothing to take in a wrong sense. The Avadhutas are always very confusing to our logic minds, because we look at them through the filters, through the spectacles of the worldly views. We look at them through the gunas. We have gunas. We have these three gunas. We have the Satoguna, we have the Rajaguna, we have the Tamoguna. Based on our gunas, we see the world. The spectacles, the colored spectacles. So if we have certain gunas, we look at the world. That is how the whole society is based on Papa Punya principle. This is good, that is bad. The same society that loves a certain thing as punya is bound to condemn something as papa, merit and demerit, good and bad and ugly. Good, bad and ugly. Good, satoguna. Bad, rajoguna. Ugly, tamoguna. These definitions come from that nature of qualities. Avadhutas are gunatitam, beyond all the gunas. They will not adhere to any disciplined society rules and regulations, and they will not fall into any of these brackets. What they do is spontaneity. Anything that they do is beyond gunas. But anything that we look at them is through our gunas. If we are bound by the worldly rules, if we are stuck in the world, that this is papa, this is punya, this is right, this is unrighteous, then we will look at anything as this is good, that is bad. There is no good and bad anywhere. For us, smoking is bad. On a higher realm, there is nothing that is bad. For us, shit is dirty. Gold is the most purest, or Ganga Jal is the purest. And shit, or feces, or excreta is dirty. On a higher level, sab mitti hai. They are all one to then Avadhuta. I know of Avadhutas who used to eat in Kankal. Sogalaja was one. The skull. They used to defecate in that, urinate in that, eat in that. Can anybody do that? Because we are bound by gunas. Good, bad, ugly. Aghoris, look at them. What you might call as papa punya, they are beyond that. They will do all the papas. What they do is all papa for us. For them, they are beyond, and they are liberated. What does this show, dear ones? If Aghoris can do all those things which we consider filthy and yet attain that self-realization and become liberated, what does it mean? It means what Chidakasha says, Bhagwan Nityananda says, sab mitti hai. Because at the end, the root level is all is dust. It has rised up from dust, it will go to dust. It has only taken different forms, which we condemn as good, bad, ugly. I know Avadhutas who drink alcohol. You cannot compare them to the wrong drinking of society, because they can gulp down 20 bottles of liquor in an hour. Can we do that? Bhagwan Nityananda was walking once on the streets, and there were disciples walking behind him. Somebody came and very heartfully gave him mutton, non-veg, flesh. Some devotee with lot of love. He just picked it and put it in his mouth, chewed and walked off. The disciples were shocked. How can Bhagwan eat non-veg when he has told this is not good? He has himself told. How can they eat this? It's not good. They are all confused. They said it's all very difficult to understand. What is this about? They said, we are not supposed to eat. We have quit eating. And here our Guru is eating meat. And they are disturbed. And they keep walking. Bhagwan is walking in his own loincloth, far ahead from them. These people are disturbed. One is saying, I'll go back and eat meat, because Gurudev has eaten it. What's the difference? He is not practicing what he preaches. And then a shop comes where they make bangles, the glass bangles. And molten, you have seen molten glass, how it is red, like liquid. Before it becomes glass, they are using that. So Bhagwan goes there, takes that jar, that full of glass, molten glass, and drinks it. And keeps it there and talks to his disciples, says, drink it. No way. How are you going to? You'll die on the spot. He drank it and he walks. They are confused. Oh my God, how did he drink that? Then he turns to them and says, सिद्ध जो कहते हैं उसको करो, सिद्ध जो करते हैं उसको कभी मत करना. What the great Mahatmas do, don't do that. But do what they ask you to do. Means just follow what they say. Don't try to enact them, don't try to become like them. Because it will not affect them. They are beyond the cause and effect. Molten or anything, it is just one tattva, it doesn't belong to that nature that will affect them in any manner. They are beyond it. So when they are beyond it, it cannot affect them. So they can do anything in this world. There's nothing to get confused. Because that is that state where nothing can affect them. And they do a lot to teach people. Many avdutas do lot of things in their own way which is beyond our comprehension. But that doesn't mean they're wrong. There was an avdut who used to drink liquor all the time. And a Brahmin person came and sat in front of them. And everybody was bowing and all, and this guy is drinking. So in the mind he gets this doubt, oh my God, I'm a Brahmin, I don't even touch meat, I don't even drink all this, and look at this great master sitting in front of me and eating meat and drinking wine, drinking liquor. Some hoax. He's just sitting and he has lost his connection with that avduta. He is no more interested. He wants to get rid from that place. He wants to run away from that place. And he does that. He formally just bows to the avduta and leaves the place as soon as possible. When he reaches home and knocks the door, his wife opens and finds his husband drooling. He's literally like drunk. And the husband is walking in and he is not able to understand. Everything is moving around. And his wife says, you have drunk. You are stinking of alcohol. Where the hell did you learn this? And when did you start this? And you have even eaten non-veg. You can find the smell of non-veg. The husband can't answer anything. He pukes just like a drunkard does. And he conks off. He goes off to bed. He's put to bed. And when he awakens, he's shocked because he's having a hangover. Wife starts blaming him and he says, I don't know anything, I've not drunk. What happened? Then he realizes, oh my God, what did I do? I have judged an avduta. What did I do? He runs back to that avduta and falls at his feet, asking for forgiveness. And the avduta looks at him and laughs and says, so you rascal, you feel that I'm here boozing and enjoying life, right? And he says, do you even know what I'm doing? He says, I'm sitting here and taking away the addiction of all the youths like you. Many of them are gone into this addiction. Many of them. I'm taking away that karma sitting here. What you do not know, do not judge. There's one example to just make you realize we will not understand why an avduta does a certain thing, but there is some reason behind it which only that avduta will know. It is impossible to decode them unless, like this avduta, they tell what they are doing. They have various ways. Why they are present in the world? They have some work to do and they are doing it. So we must allow them to do their work without analyzing anything about avdutas. It is not about papa punya. It's not like if you ask a question or if you have a question about Avduta, they are going to curse you, or nothing of that sort. It's not about Papa Punya, nothing. It is just an ignorance which we, a little light on that and it illuminates and we understand it. So we go ahead. That's all. As simple as that. Yes, so I was reading these couple of words about the guru-disciple relationship, and I want to just read it very clearly so that you have a clear understanding of this. I will not take much time because I have a personal session one-to-one back in my room soon, so I'll have to leave in another 30 minutes, so it will be before that. See, what I just talked about, the realization aspect, we are already realized. So here I am reading this particular thing. It says, can the Guru make the disciple realize self by transmitting his own power to him? Ramana says, yes, but Guru does not bring about realization. He merely removes the obstacles to it, for the self is always realized. And it continues here. So it says, there are gurus for each ashrama, the 4 ashramas, brahmacharya, grahastha, vanaprastha, sannyasa. These 4 ashramas. So somebody asked him, there are gurus for each ashrama. Is there a guru for a stage which transcends the 4th? Beyond these ashramas, is there any guru? So Ramana says, yes. Then he asks, but you do not admit one. Ramana says, there is a guru for everyone. I admit guru for myself also. The person asks, who is that guru? Ramana says, the self. The questioner asks, for whom? Ramana says, for myself. The guru may be internal or external. He may reveal himself internally or communicate externally. The person asks, can those in this transcendent stage own property? Bhagwan Ramana says, there is no restriction for them. They may do what they please. The great Rishi Sukha is said to have married and begotten children. The questioner asks, then he is like a grahastha? Ramana says, I have already said that he is above the 4 recognized ashrams. The questioner again asks in doubt, but if they can marry, own property, etc., they are grihasthas only, right? Ramana says, that may be your view. Questioner asks, can they convey their property to others? Ramana says, they may or they may not. All depends on their prarabdha. Then he says, I am reading from here. Is there any karma for them? The questioner asks. Ramana says, their conduct is not regulated according to any rules or codes, which I just mentioned. No rules and codes. Questioners ask, when visitors want to stay here, do they take your permission? Bhagwan says, permission from the management is permission from me. The visitors came here for me, the management is for me. Whenever there is mutual agreement, I do not interfere. When visitors come here, I admit them. Will others dare to go against my wishes? My consent is implied. Okay, then I am coming straight to this. Is a man to engage in teaching his knowledge, however imperfect? Bhagwan says, if his prarabdha karma be that way. The jnani says, I am the body. The ajnani says, I am the body. What is the difference? I am is the truth. The body is the limitation. The ajnani limits the I with the body. I in sleep is apart from body. The same I now too is in the waking state. Okay, this is a little deep, so I'll skip it. I'll go to where we can understand. So I'm not going into anything that will bounce us. Are saints who live in remote forests and Tibetan mountains still helpful to the world? Bhagwan says quite. The realization of the self is the greatest help that can be rendered to humanity, no matter where the saints live. Is it not necessary for the saints to mix with the people in order to help them? Questioner asks. Ramana says, the realized being does not see the world as different from himself. The help given by him is imperceptible, but it is still there. A saint helps the whole of humanity unknown to it. The silence of a sage gives permanent benefits and instructions to humanity, whereas lectures entertain the individuals for a few hours without improving them. Silence is eloquence unceasing. Dakshinamurti is the idol. He taught his rishi disciples by silence. But nowadays, questioner asks, but nowadays disciples must be created, sought after? Bhagwan says, that is a sign of ignorance. The power which created you created the world and can take care of both also. Question, do I not see a guide? Do I not need a guide to see God? Bhagwan says, who was your guide to see Ramana? Bhagwan, with whose guidance do you see the world daily? Just as you are able to see the world yourselves, so also you will be able to see yourself if you earnestly strive to do so. Yourself alone being your guide in that quest also. Question, is the Guru absolutely necessary? Bhagwan, take Guru to be the real self and yourself to be the individual self. So long as duality persists in you, the Guru is necessary. Because you identify yourself with body, you think Guru to be somebody, but you are not the body, nor is the Guru. This knowledge that you are the self and so is the Guru is gained by what you call realization. How can one know a competent Guru? Ramana says, by the peace of mind in his presence and by the sense of respect you feel for him. Wonderful. Okay, here is another question he has. What is the use of people like you who sit still doing nothing when the world is in great trouble? He says, Bhagwan says, a self-realized being cannot help benefiting the world. His very existence bestows the highest good to the world. You imagine the Guru to be what you are yourself. Because you are with the body, you imagine him to do something tangible to you. His work lies within. The devotee thinks the Guru is the man and expects a relationship between bodies. But the Guru, who is self-incarnate, works from within. The Guru creates conditions to drive you inward and prepares the interior to drag you to the center. Thus, he gives a push and exerts a pull from within so that you may be fixed at the center. In the sleep you are centered within, but on awakening your mind rushes out, thinking this and that. This must be checked. Somebody asks, Swami Vivekananda speaks of a Guru transferring spirituality. Ramana says, is it a substance to be transferred? Transfer really means eradication of the sense of being the disciple. Question, must the Guru have a human body? Ramana says, because you identify yourself with the body, you raise this question. Find out if you are the body. The Gita says that those who cannot understand the transcendental nature of Sri Krishna are fools, deluded by ignorance. The Master appears in order to dispel that ignorance. As Tayumnavar is a Siddha puts it, he appears to dispel the ignorance of a man, just as a deer is used to decoy to capture the lion in the jungle. He has to appear with a body in order to eradicate our ignorance and the I am the body idea. Question, what is what is all this talk of masters, etc., guiding the destinies of the world? Bhagwan, had it not been said, would these people have diverted their outgoing minds from the world and turned inward to meditate? That is the purpose of the mention of the masters and their hierarchy by Theosophists. By a rishi sitting in one place, all things can be done by him if he wills. He can bring wars or end them. But he knows there is a cosmic and karmic process going on, so he won't interfere unwisely. This cosmic drama is talking about the play of consciousness. What does the Guru do? Does he hand over realization to the disciple? Is not the self always realized? By remaining in contact with realized sages, the man gradually loses the ignorance until its removal is complete. The eternal self is thus revealed. Realization is eternal and is not newly brought about by the Guru. He merely helps in the removal of the ignorance. The disciple surrenders himself to the master. That means there is no vestige in the individuality retained by the disciple and thus no cause of misery. Without understanding it aright, people think the Guru teaches the disciple Tattvamasi, meaning thou art that, as something to make him more powerful than anything else. The man is already vain. What will be the case if the same I grows up enormously? He will be still more foolish and ignorant. This false I must perish. Its annihilation is the fruit of Guru's service. See, this is so important. So important. He says, what I am trying to express here is, the external Guru first comes and turns you inward. The purpose of the external Guru coming is to make you realize that you are the Atman and that you should be guided by that inward Guru. He turns you inward, because we are always Bahimukhi outside and we can get lost. So the Guru appears and makes you turn inward through whatever practice is done. And once that is realized, once you go within, then the real journey towards realizing the self begins. So that is what he says. What does the Guru do? Does he hand over realization to a disciple? No. Is not the self already realized? By remaining in contact with great realized sages or avdutas or all these divine beings, he is saying, the man gradually loses this ignorance that I am the body, I am this, I am that, until its removal is complete. This is the process. The eternal self is thus revealed. Realization is eternal and is not newly brought about from the Guru. Means the realization is already there. It is not something that is brought from outside and put into you. He merely helps in removal of the Guru, merely helps in removal of this ignorance that I am this body and I am this mind and I am this and that, I am this name and etc. etc. He helps you remove that. So he says, when the disciple surrenders himself to the master, which means there is no vestige in the individual, it means he is losing his individuality. Surrender to the Guru means losing the individuality, the I-ness, the personality that you are losing that. That is actual surrender to the Guru. And thus there is no misery, he says. Without understanding this, people think that the Guru teaches the disciple Tattvamasi. The Guru doesn't teach Tattvamasi, that you are that. People think that way because of this confusion. And then he says, as though Tattvamasi is something that can make him more powerful than something else. Tattvamasi, that being, that state, is not something that is going to be added and makes you more powerful. And then he says, the man is already in vain. Man is already in this confusion. What will be the case now if this I grows up enormously? Because the I is there, the doer is already there. Now imagine more things you are doing with that, and another state of Tattvamasi is coming into you. That I will enormously blast, he says. And what he is saying, that I is the cause of your lack of realization. So instead of removing it, if you add up into that I, the doer, I am doing this and that, what will happen? Enormously, the I grows up, he says here. He will be still more foolish and ignorant. This false I must perish. Its annihilation is the fruit of Guru Seva. When you do Guru Seva, this I-ness starts reducing. That he says, that is the fruit of Guru Seva. Then somebody asks, how may I get nearer to my master? Bhagwan says, are you the personality? Does the self say the master is far away? Then somebody asks, does education make a sage more useful to the world? The beautiful answer that is given. Bhagwan says, even a learned man must bow before an illiterate sage. Education is learned ignorance. The quality of education that we have outside, the qualifications and all that, blah, 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 blah. All qualification I've seen in front of an avadut who's completely illiterate. People are doing sashtang. All the great scholars, including the great politicians, the powerful beings, the scientists, they all fall at the feet of this avduta who's illiterate. See? I remember once somebody was teasing me and somebody had openly challenged me while I was doing seva in my Guru's ashram, saying that you are an illiterate fool. What qualification do you think you have? That you're talking about this. You're talking so big, great things. What qualification do you have? And you are talking to me who has attained blah, 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 blah qualifications from this recognized university. Do you know who I am? All this was done in the presence of my master. They're literally challenging me. Why are you up to all these kind of things? Why are you talking without qualification? I didn't say anything. I was quiet. I just said the only qualification that I know is what I know. That's all. I don't know anything else. Yes, I do not have a paper qualification. I am not qualified as you. Absolutely not qualified as you. And then, in one of the meetings, or when we were alone, the master was sitting alone. After a few days, it was all, I thought it was forgotten. It was not. We had just finished a little small shoot. There were only 3-4 of us. And then, the master was sitting. And suddenly, he was quiet for some time and then he began speaking. Just 2-3 of us. And he said, this guy is an illiterate fool who's sitting next to me. He was pointing to me. This is an illiterate, unqualified person. And then he was talking about something when he was doing that video of Science Beyond Science. He was talking actually to the scientists and the doctors who was taking his help. And then after finishing that message of recording, he looked at us and he said, I do not have any qualification. I have not learned all this. I do not know anything. My only qualification is that one. From there is where I speak. That is the only qualification I know. Otherwise, I am as ignorant fool as this one who is sitting here. Unqualified as this one. So perhaps they got the answer there. Anyways, I just remembered this incident. Oh, beautiful. Somebody asks, is contact between spiritual leaders of the East and West possible? Is India the spiritual world center? See, this is another ego that I always say. India is going to be this, India is going to be that. We are the spiritual head, we are the this, blah, 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 blah. When we go into the mystics, the teachings of the mystics, all this egoism has to vanish. This me and mine includes this ego also. That we are here to control the world, dominate the world. We are the superpowers. Doesn't matter. When you go into sab mitti hai, it doesn't matter. That's what I said. All our religions, all are this, teach us to reach to a certain stage, but there is something beyond that also. It's not the dead end. It's still the arena of the ego. The ego is not completely gone away from this. See, I remembered this because somebody asked, is the contact between spiritual leaders of the East and West possible? Is India the world's spiritual center? Bhagwan says, spirit is unlimited and formless. The spiritual center is the same. There is only one such center. Whether in the East or West, the center cannot differ. It has no locality. Being, the Sat, what I am saying, being unlimited, it includes the leaders, world, forces of destruction and construction. You speak of contact because you are thinking of embodied beings as leaders. The spiritual men are not bodies. They are not aware also of their bodies. They are spirit limitless and formless. There is always unity among them. These questions cannot arise if the self is realized. Then they ask, Theosophists meditate to seek masters? Bhagwan says, the master is within. Meditation is for removing the ignorance that he is without. If he be a stranger whose coming you await, he is bound to disappear also. Where is the use of a transient being like that? However, so long as you think you are an individual or body, so long the master is necessary and will appear with a body. When this wrong identification ceases, the master will be found to be the self. Pearls. These are all pearls. Pearls of higher truths. See this beautiful one. Somebody was talking about Bhagwan giving moksha to someone, which I did not believe, because he never claimed anything. He was one such being who absolutely had no I-ness of any sort. He never even said, I am your guru. Never accepted anybody as the disciple. He said, everything is happening within you. See, this one question they say, did you give salvation to your mother at her deathbed? Her mother passed away in Skandashram on top, here on this hill. His mother. She was sick, and there's a board written that Bhagwan gave moksha to his mother who passed away there. I remember yesterday I was telling Sivadas Bhai, also my friend, that there was one mention where Bhagwan mentioned, after my mother died, not left the body, not all those glory words. He said, after the mother died, her corpse was brought down the hill. See, corpse, the word used, corpse, dead body. This is from Bhagwan's mouth. There is no jubilation, there is no extraordinary respect given to any such identities, even to his own mother. He treated everything as one, no difference. Such a high state. That is why, no doubt, he is considered to be the avatar of Dakshinamurti, which is Shiva himself. See, somebody asked, did you give salvation to your mother at her deathbed? Bhagwan asked, can anybody give liberation to another? No. One's own jnana alone can give one's liberation. Silence is perpetual speaking. Ordinarily, speech hinders the heart-to-heart talk between the guru and disciple. This is what I always encourage, dear ones. If you want to talk to your guru, go in silence, go within and connect. This is the real talk, heart-to-heart talk. He says, silence is perpetual speaking. Ordinary speech hinders this heart-to-heart talk between the guru and disciple. So as long as you think you are the individual, you believe in God. On worshipping God, God appears to you as guru. Surrender your own self to the one from whom the grace is sought. On serving this guru, he manifests at your own self. There are many methods of initiation or diksha or baptism where the guru will help the disciples. Yet the guru does not consciously set about to do this, as he is one with the disciple from his viewpoint. He does it unconsciously. It may be willpower, by sight, by tejas, the fire or splendor of the guru, or by the touch on the head. But whichever way it is done, there is a change in the disciple which is noticeable later. And then I am reading the final verses here because I am going to stop it now. How does a Guru Kripa or Guru's grace lead to self-realization? Bhagwan says, an aspirant begins with dissatisfaction. Not content with the world, he seeks the satisfaction of desires. Prays to God. Means when he is fed up with all these things, he prays to God. His mind is purified now. He longs to know God more than to satisfy his carnal desires. Now there's a longing to know God, then the other desires. Then God's grace begins to manifest. He takes the form of a guru and appears to the devotees, teaches him the truth, purifies the mind by his teachings, and with contact and the devotee's mind gains strength and is able to turn inward. With meditation it is purified still further and still remains without the least ripple. No, ripple means nishchal man. That expanse is the self. The guru is both exterior and interior. From exterior, he gives a push to the mind to turn inward, the exterior guru. And from interior, the internal guru pulls the mind towards the self from within. See, such beautiful. and helps the quietness of the mind. This is called Guru Kripa. There is no difference between God, Guru and self. A Guru's help is necessary and is useful to start you on the inquiry, but you must pursue the inquiry further. Why do not the Mahatmas help? How do you know they do not help, he asks. Public speeches, physical activity and material help are all outweighed by the silence of Mahatmas. These accomplish more than others. Is there a spiritual hierarchy of all the original propounders of religions, watching the spiritual welfare of the humans? Bhagwan says, let them be or let them not be. It is only a surmise at its best. Know Atman and be done with all these speculations. One person might admit such hierarchy, another may not. But no one can overlook the Atman. The hierarchy cannot exist apart from self-realization of the self, which is the only one goal. So these are few verses that he said. Bhagwan talked about, so much about the Guru and the self and the grace. Okay, wow, beautiful time. I just looked at the time, 1:11, my favorite time, 11:11. So 11:11, I think I will take your leave now because 11:30 I've got a session. I've got to return back there. Somebody must be waiting for me there. So I'll turn back later because I'll be leaving today by afternoon from here. So this is probably my last live that I did from this holy hill, Arunachala. And I'll be meeting you back again from my hometown, where I'll be continuing making these videos, and we will be digging deeper and deeper into this. What I am trying to say is build up awareness. Learn to become more and more aware, because only then you will turn within. Until you turn within, all exterior running is not going to be of much. It will exhaust you. It will simply exhaust you. It will make you tired. The seeking will never end. I was talking to some people again in some sessions, in my last few sessions, where they said, we have been doing this for the past 12 years, for the past 15 years, but things have only got complicated, and it's not that the paths have not helped them. They are all from different paths. It has helped them, but they have also accumulated a lot. This path is all about giving up stuff. So that accumulation has caused a system overload. Even the spiritual accumulation can only be a burden. They have so much of spiritual wisdom. Some people have so much of energies, the spiritual energies. But until you know how to channel it, how to settle it, it's of no use, because it will get wasted or it will throw you berserk. It can make even a mad man mad. What are you going to do with too many energies when you can't handle it? Too much energies can even destroy a person. If the body is not ready, mind is not ready. So all the attempts where it should be, we are not putting. It's all outside, all the time, trying to accumulate something from outside. Building up something. It's not about addition. This journey is about subtraction. It's about letting go one by one. And letting go even the doership. So much of doing, do this, do that. We can't sit still. I'm trying to teach people about this particular thing, about awareness. It's so important because awareness will still you. If I'm sitting on this hill and I'm doing this and that, if I stand here on the stone and start doing yoga, I know what will be the outcome. I might get some benefits. But if I sit still here, 1,000 times I'll gain a lot from here, because it is all in the stillness. This everything, the whole energy, the consciousness is based on stillness. The moment your mind stills, you enter into samadhi. Can you enter into samadhi without stilling your mind? All external practices are focused towards stilling the mind. But if you directly know how to still the mind without doing so many external stuff, you are straight going direct. That is what Bhagwan always referred to. And this is not for everybody. So I am not advocating that everybody should do this. This is only for people who are mature enough. After a certain stage of evolution, you will discard everything automatically. Whether you like it or not, you will just drop it. You will not be able to do things beyond a certain stage. That is when you are ready for the inwardness. That is when you are ready to directly go over the mind. How? Through awareness. You are not entering to the mind and in the mind doing this, doing that, this puja, this mantra, that mantra, and you are going on and the mind is always occupied. How? When the mind is occupied, you are going to attain that stillness. The awareness is one where you just float apart into that awareness. You are just aware of yourself, you are aware of your consciousness, and suddenly you shift away from this mind which is so distracting. Immediately you float away from the mind. So when you are in a state of awareness, suddenly there is no activity in the mind. There is no activity in the mind, the thoughts will drop down. The moment the thoughts drop down, there is stillness. See, the stillness of the mind. When the mind is still, you can catch what is around you. The Sat and the Chit, when is having no ignorance around it, is in beautiful bliss. That is the state of Shiva and Shakti. If you have entered late, you can just go back to the video and see in the start I have explained in depth. Listen to it in awareness. Without any distraction, sit in a corner, put it there and just listen to that Sat and Chit. Who is Sat and Chit and how you can meditate on your own Sat and Chit and experience. If you understand it, I can mark my words, you will immediately go into that stillness right there and then. You are straight meditating on yourself there. It's a secret, but I won't call it a secret because it's not open for everybody. Only those who can enter into that state of awareness can catch that. And who will enter into the state of awareness? Only those who are ready to turn inward. If your seeking is still outside, this video is not for you. All my videos are not for you. If you are a seeker of outwardly stuff, anything outside, be it even a God outside, Guru outside, any desire outside, it's not going to help you until you turn within. Within only that stillness will come. Awareness is a quality of stillness and from within. You cannot become aware of something outside you because you are the being. The being only can become aware. And when can the being become aware? The being, you, the human being, the self, when can it become aware? We all talk about self becoming aware. You cannot become aware until you have the Chit with you, your consciousness. You are experiencing yourself through the consciousness. That is what I explain. So you, the Sat, is dead without that consciousness. That is Shiva and Shakti. You are the Shiva. That is a being. And you need Shakti to have awareness. What you are becoming aware right now of your koshas and all that, that becoming aware is consciousness doing it. And who is the one becoming aware of that? That is yourself. That is your soul. So the one that is the soul is becoming aware of this and that and me and even becoming aware of yourself. The self becoming aware of yourself is self-realization. That is when you realize the self. Contemplate on this again and again. It's a very simple video, but very powerful, very deep. And this is again from the place of Lord Shiva himself, the Sat Purusha, the eternal being that is here, but without the Chitta, he cannot experience the world, he cannot experience you and me. He cannot even experience himself. The Shiva needs Shakti. That is why the Chit and Shakti are always together. The Chit and the Sat are always together. They are inseparable. They cannot be separated. That is the quality. And where Sat and Chit only exist without any other ignorance, there is Ananda. And that is what is called Sat-Chit-Ananda. So with much divine love and light to all of you, stay blessed. Have a great time. I'll meet you tomorrow or day after. I'll let you know the rest of the details. Yes, and somebody had asked me again personal sessions. I'm putting the link in every the videos that I make. You can just go to that link, click on that and book your sessions whichever you want. I'll put it right now here also. Okay, stay blessed then. Much divine love and light to all of you. Stay blessed.